Hey friends, how you doing there? Welcome back to Babylon Talmud, where we win at life through the gift of babbling. Friends, I was thinking, maybe we could get rid of where we, and we just go straight into it. Winning at life through the gift of babbling. So it's, welcome back to Babylon Talmud, winning at life through the gift of babbling. That's getting really direct, like straight to the point, like boom. Winning at life through the gift of babbling. Any questions? No. Drink Coke. You know what that's from? Any questions? No. Drink Coke. Period. You know what that's from the documentary called Helvetica, by Gary Hustwit, about the font, the Helvetica font typeface. I guess it depends if you're viewing it on a computer or not. Technically, I don't know how that works. What's the difference between a font and a typeface? Helvetica was initially called something else. The something Hase or something. The I forget the grotesque. The Hase grotesque or something. The Helvetica, and then Michael Beirut. He was comparing a Coke advertisement from I think his name is Michael Beirut, famous advertising branding guy. So he was comparing a Coke advertisement from like the 1950s to, or maybe from like the 1940s or something, to like the whenever Helvetica came out, and he was comparing the two and how the ad became very, they took out all of the bluff, all the, cartoony, strange typography from like old school advertisements. You just have a glass of Coke with ice in it, with like the like frost coming down the side. In Helvetica, it just says drink Coke, period. In Helvetica, period. Any questions? Period. No. Drink Coke now. So winning at life through the gift of babbling. Today we are going weiter in our Mishnah about the different things that wives do, and what am I tell you? Okay, so I'm going to start off the daf with my friend, the little art scroll over here. A little art scroll. Okay. Here we go. Well, we're going to start on daf Samach Amud Beis, 4 lines from the bottom. Here we go. The Mishamsha Berechaya, a woman who has marital relations near a mill. Havu la b'nei nichbe, will have children who are epileptic. The Mishamsha al Ara, a woman who has marital relations while lying on the ground. Havu la b'nei shmute, will have children with elongated necks. The Darcha al Rimah de Chamra, a woman who treads on the excrement of a donkey. Havula b'nei girdane, will have children who lose their hair. I'm not exactly sure how to tie that into Jewish men being bald. Thank God I still have hair, Maybe a little too much if you ask some people, but not according to me. A woman who eats mustard. Havula b'nei zalzane, will have children who are gluttons. Da'achla tachle, a woman who eats cress. Havula b'nei dulfane, will have children with teary eyes. Da'achla monine, a woman who eats small fish. Havula b'nei mitzitze eino, will have children with fluttering eyes. What are fluttering eyes? Is that a good thing? Da'achla gargushta, a woman who eats clay. Havula b'nei mechoari, will have ugly children. Deshasya shichra, a woman who drinks beer. Oh, should I keep you guys hanging? You want to know? You want to know what happens if a woman drinks beer? Havila b'nei ukami, will have dark children. Alright? Da'achla bisu v'shasya chama, a woman who eats meat and drinks wine. You want to know about that? Havila b'nei will have children who are barye, healthy. That's good. That's good. I don't eat meat, of course, as you know, but I drink wine, also, as you know, on Shabbos. A woman who eats eggs, will have children with large eyes. Okay. Where does like genetics fit into this stuff? A woman who eats fish, will have charming children. That's nice. What, you eat like sushi, just like eat like lots of sushi and your children will be charming. That sounds good. Woman who eats celery, will have radiant children. Kuzbarta, a woman who eats coriander, which I think is also called cilantro. Havula b'nei bisrani will have fat children. Esrega, a woman who eats an esrig. Havula b'nei richani will have fragrant children. Barte deshvar malka ochla ba'ima esrega, the daughter of King Shapur ate esrig while she was pregnant with her. Vavu maskila the kami avua, they would bring her before her father Bereish Reichan at the head of the fragrances. So her mother ate esrig when she was in the womb, and she was so fragrant when she was born that when they were bringing out good smelling perfumes and stuff, they would bring her out. Let's go weiter. Rav Huna says, Rav Huna Badaklon, Rav Huna Bar Chinana checked out, I think he was testing us. Oh, is that what it was? I totally spaced out there. Oh yeah, exactly, he was testing us. Okay. So Rav Huna says, Rav Huna Badaklon, Rav Huna Bar Chinana, that Rav Huna Bar Chinana was testing us. Alright, what was the test? He omer is lahanik, v'hu omer shelo lahanik. So if the husband says that she should nurse, and wait, what? No. He omer is lahanik. She says that she wants to nurse. V'hu omer shelo lahanik, and he says that he doesn't want her nursing. So I think that there was some cultural sort of implications here as well. That I think that that sort of the upper class women would not nurse their babies. Instead, a wet nurse would nurse the babies for them. So if she is saying, he omeres lahanik, now she's saying, look, I want to nurse, v'hu omer shelo lahanik, and he doesn't want her to nurse, shomin la, we listen to her because tzara dida hu, because it's her discomfort, right? If she's producing milk and not releasing it to feed her baby, it could be uncomfortable, and she could decide if she wants to be nursing her baby in that case. Hu omer lahanik, if he says that she should nurse, v'hi omer shelo lahanik, and she says that she doesn't want to nurse, mahu, what about that? So kol echad delav orcha shomin la. Well, if the minig in her family is that the women do not nurse, and she does not want to nurse either, so we listen to her. He orcha v'hu lav orche. But what if it is? What if in her family the women do nurse, and in his family the women don't nurse, and he's insisting that she should nurse, and she doesn't want to nurse? What do we say? Basur didei azlinon. Do we go based on his family minig, which is that the women do not nurse, and therefore she shouldn't have to nurse? Or basur dida azlinon, or do we go based on her minig, and her minig is that the women in her family do nurse, and therefore if he wants her to nurse, and it's the minig in her family to nurse, so then she'll nurse. And we answer from the following, Ola imo ve'enu yured desimo, that she gets his upgrades but not his downgrades, and therefore if the minig in his family is that the women do not nurse, well then she does not need to nurse if she doesn't want to. Rav Huna says, Rav Huna Maikra, what is a pasuk? Where do we have a pasuk for this? V'ibul as Baal, and she is a married woman, and we make a drasha, be'ulas Baal ba'aliyaso shabav lo b'yudaso shabav, that you get the husband's upgrades but not the husband's downgrades. Rabbi Elazar Amar Me'achas is Rabbi Elazar from here. That she was the mother of all living things, that the wife gets the upgrades, not the discomforts. So the Mishnah had said that so a wife has all of these things that she does as part of the marriage. She grinds things and bakes and all sorts of things. So we had said, but if she brings in a maidservant, well then, with each subsequent maidservant that she brings into the marriage, some of her chores get offloaded onto the maidservants. So now, So we said that if she brings in one maidservant, so then she doesn't need to grind and bake and stuff. But she still has to do the rest of the chores. But why doesn't she just say to the husband, I don't understand. I was responsible for doing all of these things. I brought in a maidservant. Let her be responsible for doing all of these things. Why is she only responsible for doing two of the things, and why do I have to do the rest? Let her do everything, just like I was going to do everything. So Mishum Da'amallah, because he can make the argument, Ha'tarcha ledidi uledida. Look, you brought in one maidservant, which means that we're now three people, me, you, and the maidservant. The maidservant only has capacity to take care of me and herself. You have to, be able to take care of the rest. Right? Kamedidach mantorach. Who's taking care of the stuff that needs to be done for you? So therefore, you still have to do the other things. So we said if she brings in two maidservants, then she doesn't need to cook and she doesn't need to nurse the babies. Shaira avda, but implies that the wife needs to do all the other things. But let her say to the husband, look, I now brought in two maidservants. The tarcha ledidu ledida, right? That the second maidservant is going to take care of the things that need to be taken care of for me and for her. And the other maidservant is going to take care of the stuff for you and the stuff for her. So now we have two maidservants taking care of two people. That should be fine. So why do I have to do anything? Yeah, but who's taking care of the guests? If the two maidservants are going to be busy with me and you, who's taking care of the guests? If she brings in three maidservants, well then she doesn't need to make the bed anymore. Implying that she needs to do the other things though. Why doesn't she say to him, what do you mean? I already brought in two maidservants before this. That wasn't enough. I now brought in a third maidservant to take care of all the guests. Leave me alone. Let me sit around and drink pina coladas. Well, the more people working in the house, the more guests there are. The more guests there are, and therefore 3 is no longer enough to take care of the guests. So if that's the case, well then even if there are 4 maidservants, then still she should have to be busy, because the more maidservants you get, the more guests there are, so shouldn't she still have to have stuff to do? But the Mishnah had said that if she brings in 4, then she could already just sit on the couch and drink pina coladas. Or maybe if they have a pool, maybe she could sit by the pool drinking pina coladas. In a certain sense, that sounds like it might be interesting, enjoyable. I've enjoyed that in the past, kind of, maybe, arguably, yes, I did. Now I can't really think about that so much. But maybe one day I'll do that again. But if you have 4 maidservants, so since there are so many people working in the household, they'll figure it out. So she could sit by the pool drinking pina coladas. Amar Rav Chana, says Rav Chana v'temer Rav Shmuel bar Nachmani lo ichnisa lo mamish. And says Rav Chana, some say Rav Shmuel bar Nachmani, it doesn't mean that she necessarily has to actually physically bring into the marriage these actual maidservants, actual people. No, as long as the dowry is large enough that they would be able to afford this help, even though she didn't actually, bring the maidservants, but she brought the funds to be able to support that. So that would be enough, and she could sit at the pool drinking pina coladas. Tana echad shechnisa lo ve'echad shetzimtzima lo mishala, and we have a verse that says whether she brought it in as a dowry or whether she somehow made her own money and used that to, be able to afford these maidservants. Either way, that is fine. Abu Yoshevis b'katedra. So we had said that if there are 4 maidservants, then she could just sit at the pool drinking pina coladas. Amr of Yitzchak bar Chananya, Amr of Huna, Afapisha, Amr Yoshevis b'katedra. Even though we said that she could sit at the pool drinking pina coladas, Ava Mozeges lo kos, but she would still, mix her husband's wine for him, Matzas lo samita, and make the bed for him, Umarchetzes lo panaviot de v'raglav, and wash his face. Okay, that sounds nice. V'amr of Yitzchak bar Chananya, Amr of Huna, Kom locha sheisha osa levayla, that any malachis that a wife does for her husband, nida osa levayla. A wife would also do that for her husband when she's a nida. Chutz mi mezigas hakos, except for mixing his wine for him. V'atzas amita, and making the bed, v'achotzas panav yodav raglav, and washing his face and his hands and his feet. V'atzas amita amar Rava, and when it comes to making the bed, says Rava lo amar ela b'fanav avash lo b'fanav leis lamba. That's only in his presence. She shouldn't be making the bed, but if he goes somewhere else, then she can quickly sneak in and make the bed. Umzigas hakos. So when it comes to mixing the wine, Shmuel mechalfale devisu biyada de smola. So is Shmuel's wife would mix his wine for him when she was in Ida using her left hand, like in a different manner. Abaye manchole apuma de kuba. Abaye's wife would put would mix the wine and put it by the entrance of the barrel. I believe it's a barrel. Rava Abesadye. Rava's wife would put the wine at the end of the bed that they would eat on. Rav Papa Shashifa, and Rav Papa's wife would would mix the wine and put it on some kind of on the end of the bench that he was sitting on. Omer Rav Yitzchak Bar Chananya, Omer Rav Huna, Hakol Mashim Bifnei Hashamish, that you can, if you have a waiter, so you can let the waiter eat after the meal, right? So he's waiting on you, and then after the meal, that's when you can eat. Chutz mi basar v'yayin. The exception being meat and wine. That if he's serving meat and wine, feed him beforehand. We're going to see. Otherwise, it could, I guess, potentially be like dangerous or something. If you have a waiter and you're eating meat and wine, let him have some before he starts working. Amr Rav Chizda says of Chizda basar shaman v'yayin yoshin. Says of Chizda, but we're specifically talking about fatty meat and old wine. Amar Rava basar shaman kol shana kula. Says Rava, the fatty meat thing applies to the entire year. Yain yoshin b'tkufas tamus. Whereas the old wine is specifically in the summertime. I guess then it's particularly fragrant, and the waiter is gonna, you should let him partake earlier rather than later. Amar Ravana bar Tachlifa says Ravana bar Tachlifa avaka imna kamed mashmuel. One time I was standing before Mashmuel. Excuse me, I got a yawn. All right, as Rabbi Yisrael pointed out recently, Babel Talmud. It says of Anu bar Tachlifa that one time he was standing before Mashmuel, va'aisu le tavshila da'arde, and they brought some kind of mushroom dish. I heard a joke recently. What did the girl mushroom say to the boy mushroom? Have you guys have heard this one? I heard this one recently. What did the girl mushroom say to the boy mushroom? You're a fun guy. I guess it's not that funny. Alright. Okay. Well. Yeah, it is what it is. Let's go weiter. So they brought him a cooked dish of mushrooms. Istakni, and says Rav Ana bar Tachlifa, if they wouldn't have offered me some of this mushroom dish, I would have been in danger. I think I eat mushrooms every day. Pretty much every day, I eat the same thing. I eat the same thing pretty much every day these days. Did I tell? I've gone through this. Breakfast is an apple and like this trail mix nuts thing that I buy at the Shuk Machne Yehuda is pretty awesome. So yeah, that's like breakfast. Lunch is lentil soup and rice, and dinner is vegetarian kuba soup. And in the vegetarian kuba I think there's lentils and mushrooms, I think. Anyways. So, alright, where am I? So Amar Ravashi says, Avakim Nakamidu of Kahana. Says Ravashi, he was before of Kahana. Va'aisu le garglide de lifta bechala. And they brought like heads of turnips in vinegar? Maybe that's good. I don't know. Is that like pickled stuff? Oh, maybe it's like some kind of kimchi, or kimchi's good, I think. If they wouldn't have given me istachni, it would have been dangerous for me. Rav Papa Amar says, Rav Papa afilu tmarta de hanonisa. Says Rav Papa, even fatty dates. Klal of the Milsa, the rule is called the isle recha visle kiyua, anything that has a smell, a fragrance, and a pungency. then you're going to want to let people have, otherwise it can be dangerous for them. Avua bar ihi u'minyamin bar ihi. So Avua bar ihi and Minyamin bar ihi. Chad safi mikol mina v'mina v'chad safi michad mina. So one of them would feed the waiter from all of the different stuff that they had, whereas one of them would only feed the waiter from just like one of the things that he had. And one of them, Eliyahu Hanavi would speak to him, and the other Eliyahu Hanavi would not speak to him. And probably the one who Eliyahu Hanavi did speak to was probably the one who would offer the waiter from all types of foods. Hanu Trei Chasidei, there were two, what's Chasidim? Pious individuals. Ve'amrila, some of them say, Rav Mari, Rav Pinchas, b'nei Rav Chizda. There is Rav Mari and Rav Pinchas, the sons of Rav Chizda. Ma'kodim Sofi, Mar Ma'acher Sofi. One of them would feed the waiters before the meal. One of them would feed the waiters after the meal. The Kodim Sofi, Eliyahu Mishtari Bahadi, the Ma'acher Sofi, Lo Mishtari Eliyahu Bahadi. And the one that would feed the waiters before the meal, so Eliyahu Hanavi would speak to him. But the one who fed the waiters after the meal, Eliyahu Hanavi did not speak with him. Amemar Marzuch of Ravashi Avukayaz ve'apischa de Azgur Malka. Amemar Marzuch and Ravashi were sitting at the entrance to Asgur the king. King Asgur. King Asgur, the king of Persia. Chalev ve'azul aturnaga de Malka. And I don't know, some like fellow who worked over there in the castle, palace. Oh, that's an interesting word. Palace, castle, passel. Huh. A passel. Wow. Dennis, is there a difference between a palace and a castle? If there is, maybe a passel is like something in between. A passel. That sounds good. Alright. So now the guy who was bringing the food passed by Amemar Marzutra and Ravashi. Chazi Ravashi the Marzutra. Now Ravashi noticed that Marzutra the Chover Ape, that his face was getting white. Shoko Betz Baite. So Ravashi chapterain a shtickle from the food that was being brought out for King Asgur. Onach lebepume, and shtuped it in Marzutra's mouth. Omerle. Afsadet the sudas of the malko. So they said to Ravashi, "What are you doing? You just ruined the king's meal." Amrule, they said to Amrule, "Amai taivedachis?" And they said to Ravashi, they said, "Why'd you do that? Why'd you ruin the king's meal? This can turn very bad very quickly." So Amrulu, so Ravashi said to them, "Mando avidachi pasul amaychol de malka." He says, "Look, that food was no good. That food was problematic." Amrule, they said to him, "Amai." So they said to Ravashi, "What's problematic about the food?" Amrulu, he said to them, "I noticed that there was like pig that was it was a leprosy ridden, saras ridden pig on that you were going to feed to the king." They looked and there was no leprosy ridden pig on the tray. Shokolad's baite anach ole. So Ravashi took the fellow's hand and put it on a specific piece of pig. Omer lu hacha mi bad kisu. He said to him, "Did you check this piece?" Badku ashkechu. They checked, and sure enough, there was leprosy-ridden pig. Amule Rabbanan, the rabbi said to Ravashi, "My time is samcha sanisa. How come you relied upon a miracle? Right? A miracle happened and it became leprosy-ridden. It wasn't actually there wasn't actually initially any problem with the meat. So how come you chaptarain some meat, or chaptarain? Probably not the leprosy-ridden pig, but why'd you chaptarain epis and feed Marzutra? I mean, you were basically relying upon a miracle. You could have gotten in big trouble." Amalu. So Ravashi said to them, "Chazai ruach tzaras de kaparcha ilave." Well, he saw that Marzutra, when all that food came by him, Ravashi noticed that Marzutra was like getting like tzaras, sickness vibes. So he knew he had to feed Marzutra from this food that was passing by. Very, very interesting stuff. So now the Gemara mentions a beautiful love story between a Roman fellow and his beloved. However, there was a certain Roman fellow, to Amr la lahi itza, and he said to a certain fella, Minazbas li, will you marry me? Amr lo, she said, no, I won't. Ozal Isi Rimone, so he took a pomegranate, pole, split it in half, ve'ochel kama, and he ate it in front of her. Komai de tsarila, and as she witnessed him eating the pomegranate, and she could not partake because he wouldn't let her, so komai de tsarila belaite, and all of the saliva that was collecting in her mouth because she really wanted to partake from this pomegranate that he was not letting her have any of, so she swallowed that saliva. Velo havla ad zog la, and he didn't give her any pomegranate, and her skin turned translucent. L'sof amar le, so then he said to her, Imasina loch minaz basli, if I heal you from this predicament that you are currently in, from this sudden disease that you developed, will you marry me? Amar li in, she says, yes, I will marry you. Ozal Aisi Rimone, so he went and chaptarain another pomegranate, Pali, he split it in half, v'ochel kama, and once again proceeded to eat it in front of her. Amrla, and he said to her, he instructed her, Kolmai detzarila, any of this saliva that emerges because you really want to chaparain a shtickle, tov shdai, spit out the saliva. Adenofak mina ki hutza yarka v'estias, until like a green, what's a hutza? Hutza is what, like a branch? A green branch came out of her. Is that what it is? I guess from like all the spit, all of the sick spit, she spat out v'estias, and then she got healed. What a beautiful story about this fellow who was madly in love with the love of his life. Ve'osa batzemer, and she works with the wool. Batzemer imba pishtim lo, she works with wool. She doesn't work with flax. Masnisa mani Rabbi Yehuda, our mission is Rabbi Yehuda the Tanis v'lin the and kofel lo lamod lifnov lo lamod lifnei. We don't force her to stand and do work before his father or before his son. V'lolitin tevin lifnei behemto, not to put straw before his animals. But we can compel her to place straw, I guess, hay, straw, stuff, before the cow. Rav Yehuda Omer says, Rav Yehuda, Av eno kofel asos bepishton, we do not force her to work with flax, because flax smells. Masriach as a pet, makes the mouth smell bad. And it does something weird with the lips. But that's specifically Roman flax. Okay, so our Mishnah says that she works with wool, not with flax. It's like Rav Yehuda, who says that she doesn't work with flax. Rabbi Eliezer said that even if she brings into the marriage 100 maidservants, still she's got to do some work, at least work with the wool, because we don't want her just sitting around at the pool drinking pina coladas, because then it might lead to relationships that she shouldn't be having as a married woman. Amr of Malkio, says of Malkio, Amr of Ada bar Ahava, Halachic Rabbi Eliezer, that halacha is like Rabbi Eliezer. Okay, so now we get into this pretty technical thing. Amr of Chanina says of Chanina breder of Ika, Shvud shvachas v'gumis, a skewer and maidservants, i.e. the sugya of maidservants from our Mishnah, with regarding if she brings in maidservants, and Rabbi Eliezer is saying that even 100 maidservants, she would still have to do some work. Vigumis, I don't know, holes in the ground. Rav Malchio. Those are the opinions of Rav Malchio. Baloris Efer Miklo Gneva of Malchio. Whereas Baloris, what was it, Baloris again? I don't remember. A haircut or something? Efer Mikla, ashes, Vigvina, and cheese. Rav Malchio. That's Rav Malchio. Okay, Rav Papa Omer says Rav Papa Masnisin of Malchia, that the Mishnais and the Brises are of Malchia, Shmaitz are of Malchia, whereas the Amoraic statements are of Malchia. V'simonich Masnisim Achson says Rav Papa that the way that you could remember what's what is that that the Masnisa, the Brises are of Malchisa. My beneo what's an afkamina, ika beneo shvachas, the difference is shvachas. Meaning, there's two ways to learn it, right? One is that these specific cases are either of Malchio or Malchia. So in the first case that we said, it was that Rav Malchio says that the halacha is like Rabbi Eliezer, when it comes to shvachis, but then Rav Papa says that it's that the Mishnayos and the Brises are of Malchiyah, not of Malchiyah. So okay, so Rav Papa would say that the shvachis is of Malchiyah, whereas we had said that it's of Malchiyah. All right, what do I mean to tell you? Rav Shimon Gamliel says that what did Rav Shimon Gamliel say? He said. If a fellow makes a neder against his wife doing any work, he should divorce her and give her a ksuba because if you are just sitting around drinking pina coladas at the pool, you're going to get bored. But how do they define shiamum? Insanity. Shiamum is interesting. Boredom is like boredom considered like a type of insanity? Maybe. At the end of the day, isn't Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Shimon Gamliel saying the same thing? That she shouldn't be just sitting around drinking pina coladas at the pool. Well, an nafkamina is, for example, if she has like a small little dog to play fetch with. So if she has a dog to play fetch with, so then we don't have to worry about her being bored, but it could still lead to I don't know, maybe she'll still end up having inappropriate relationships. When a darshir, or if you buy her a chessboard and she's busy playing chess, so again, she won't be bored, but I don't know, might end up leading to inappropriate relationships. Friends, that was Daf Samach Aleph of Masechta Ksubis. Yeah, I guess kind of like an interesting daf. Peace out.